Chris here from PickDawgz.com. Like I said yesterday, the show will go on just, sometime between our regular morning show hours and the drive-thru. And here we are around 2 p.m. Eastern time, about 2 hours later than I thought we'd probably get started. But hey, at least we're here. We got not a lot of action today, but we'll cover it all, whatever is left on the board. And anyways. Well, how's it going, Chris?
It's okay. Good. So still some decent action on the board. The two early games that already went off. Not as much scoring as I thought there would be, but still it's only the third and fourth inning in each of those games. So thankfully I didn't have any early action on it, but focused all my action on tonight. How about you?
I didn't love today's card to begin with, so I don't have a lot of action out there on today's games. So, just my $15 big play, just one premium pick for me. And, outside of that, I think I could probably add another, but, it is what it is.
It's a Thursday card.
Basically. But, anyways, we also have NFL tonight, and, that's the big thing. It's preseason, and, with preseason, we all know what that means. It's like, who the hell knows who's going to play and how much. And, a lot of times there's a plan, and, a lot of times the plans don't really work out how they think they're going to. You don't know how the clock's going to run and who's going to have the ball and all that other stuff. It will be, it's always interesting, but at the same time, not very interesting, so we'll, of course, tread our way through it. No, we did not forget about everyone. I said yesterday that we were going to be late, and better late than never. We always have a show. Sometimes it's it gets messed up. Most of the time we've been I think we've been the most consistent of any show on YouTube. I don't know if we've been as professional or as perfect or any of those other things, or had quite the production quality. Some of the other shows out there. I would always love to elevate it. If there's anyone out there that wants to take over that end of it, hey, by all means, get in touch with me, Mitch at PickDawgz.com, not in the YouTube comments or something, but if you reach out to me, Mitch at PickDawgz.com, if you can do, produce the show, that would be awesome, and do the graphics and everything. We do that on our regular videos. There's no other channel out there that does as much YouTube as we do. So it's like we have something for everyone. This show has always been a little bit more casual, more laid back. The video is a little bit more, kind of like, here's the information, here's the spread, here's, whatever. We don't jam it with too much information because we have the write-ups, on every single game as well. We get into that, plus the betting tools. So, just a lot of that stuff. But Chris, when you look at preseason NFL football, what are you thinking?
I mean, I was going to say, I look for mostly just roster depth, and mainly because, I would say for the majority of NFL teams, at least 75 to 80%, the starting jobs are pretty much locked in. It's just you're battling for positions and positions on the depth chart, minutes. And I look for teams that have, question marks, as to maybe who's going to be the starting quarterback, or, if there's only 3 receiver slots, who's going to be the odd man out, because guys are going to battle for the playing time, tends to have them play a little bit harder. And, also coaching advantage. I think, everybody says that's just preseason. Yeah, but these guys still coach it all the same. And, I think they're still looking for that extra edge and sort of be able to put the best possible 53-man roster out for week 1. So I kind of look for edges like that, just who's battling for positioning and depth.
Some coaches seem to care more than others,
Yeah.
is really what a lot of it comes down to as well. And, last week when we saw the Hall of Fame game and we saw the Jaguars and the Raiders go at it, even though the Jaguars didn't play that well, obviously they have some issues with their quarterback depth, and they started with their third string quarterback. They played their third and fourth string quarterbacks when the Raiders played their second and thirds. and that probably was the difference in the game. When you talk to Doug Peterson, who can be, a real jerk face. I mean, a real jerk face. If you ever bet on, Doug Peterson coach teams, you can identify. But actually, it sounded like he really did care, like it, not so much with the result of the game. He would have liked to have won, but it's kind of like he cared about what was going on in the preseason. It was kind of like, I think it was something to certainly look out for,
Yeah.
And something that, from the Jaguars going forward, who have already now have a game under their belt, something we can probably look at going forward.
Yeah, I already had a chance to sort of shake off that rust, and now we got to see the real depth of the Jaguars. But I still can't imagine Trevor Lawrence seeing much, if any, playing time in the preseason.
No, I don't think we're going to see much of Trevor Lawrence either. But we look at game one here. It's the Patriots and the Giants. This was your video game that was covered, and I haven't really looked too much at these preseason. I don't have any premium picks on the preseason games. Do you have premiums on the preseason or no? Generally, I do have some, but neither of these were anything that I loved. To be honest, if I would have had one, it would have been Ravens money line, and I don't know what that is, but that's the only bet that I really feel comfortable about. But what are you thinking here with this New England Giants game?
You know what? I still stick with the Patriots and the points here. I think they have a great shot at winning this game outright. I think I also like the over just a little bit as well. And that's mainly because, I look at the Patriots. The tie for me here is Joe Judge, fired by the Giants last season, now brought in as the offensive coordinator for the Patriots to replace Josh McDaniels, who took off for Los Angeles.
Yuck.
But at least, I know, but he knows this Giants team. So if there's any sort of edge that he brings for at least this game, it's that he knows what he's up against. But we talk about depth. Mitch, I love covering the college football. I did a lot of college footballs last year. And we see Bailey Zapp, the former Western Kentucky quarterback that threw for 85 touchdowns or something last year, over 5,000 yards. And De'Aaron King, a quarterback I know you're familiar with. These are two guys that are going to be battling for probably maybe even the second string if Brian Hoyer doesn't really cut it. And these are two guys that can go. And I think they're going to take advantage of the spotlight and really try to light up this Giants defense.
Well, I think they have a chance. I just, I like De'Aaron King. I always thought he was a little bit. I thought before his injury, he was a good player, but I think what the player that we saw last year just wasn't ever quite good enough. And we saw when Miami put in Tyler Van Dyke, what a different team they were, and that just to me says that King doesn't have the ability to stretch the field vertically the way that you want your NFL quarterback to be able to do. And you don't need to have a rocket that fires it down the field 70 yards on a rope, but you do need to be able to stretch the field and get it down there. And I just felt King really struggled in those areas. And I know that the Giants traditionally are a team that do not play well in the preseason. And it's just we're not talking about one coach or two coaches. We're talking about historically, just a terrible preseason team. The Patriots generally don't care as much either, but I think it's kind of maybe a little bit underestimated, how they play in the preseason. I think Bill Belichick, he as much as he can, just sit there and discuss the playbook with an assistant, while the teams come storming out to, crazy train. It's the same thing with preseason where he's kind of like, it's everything else that's going on around it and the significance. It's all on a different level, as he's just trying to work through these different plays and these different scenarios. And I think, I just think the Patriots, like you said, are just the deeper, more talented team here. And, I don't think they're as good as the record was last year. And we saw that in the playoffs when they got absolutely shellacked. We go to now our second game, and this is the Ravens against the Titans. And I think this one's probably a little bit more interesting because we know that the Ravens traditionally are the preseason champions. They're what I like to call my Rod Zwacky bandwagon team. I mean, if you're going to fire up the Ravens bandwagon with Zwacky, I mean, this is the preseason team. They've done really, really well in the preseason over the years. I mean, it's amazing.
20 straight.
20 straight. So that is generally up until last season. There's always been 4 preseason games. The year before there was none, right? And then last year there was 3. So they haven't lost a preseason game in
5 years.
Yeah, in over 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's got to be 6 or 7. It's got to be 6 years.
Well, the back end, the last week of the sixth season.
Yeah.
But what you were referencing earlier, Baltimore money lines, right? Well, last glance I saw it was minus 180. So.
And that's preseason, it's preseason. It's like I said, it's not something I really want to be involved in. But at the same time, I look at the backups and I look at the Titans, and this is a team that, neither of these teams has a wide receiver that's worth the lick. I think that's number one, is that at least the Titans, I believe, went out and got Robert Woods, but he's not going to play in this game. But outside of that, they've got nothing. They lost A.J. Brown. The Ravens lost Hollywood Brown. And neither of them did anything to replace these guys. And, of course, Julio Jones also gone from the Titans. So, the Titans certainly, I believe this is a big step back here for them. While the Ravens return some guys. And, they've always been a run-first team. And, especially with Lamar Jackson. And I don't see why they're not a run-first team again here. And I just think that the Ravens, I think even before the winning streak, the Ravens have been a team that really cares about the preseason. I think Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and those guys, even though when they didn't play a preseason, you saw them cheerleading these teams. And, they've always been like that. I mean, I can remember Tyrod Taylor in his rookie year having a monster preseason. And, you could just see it.
Yeah. And I think you're 100% right. The Titans just seem very top heavy, especially for betting on them in the preseason. They're just there's not much depth outside of your top guys like Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. I'm trying to remember offhand who the backups are in Tennessee, because I wrote that article, but it's not coming to me right now. But Lamar Jackson, they said he's not going to play here, and they want to bubble wrap J.K. Dobbins to make it to week 1. But still, you got Tyler Huntley, Brett Hundley in the backups for Baltimore. And this is, again, for me, this is another spot where Baltimore just the deeper team, and I just think their backups are better than Tennessee's backups. And when those are the guys you're going to see for at least 90% of the game, that's the side I'm probably going to want to be on. So I would lay the points here with Baltimore over that 20-game stretch, 17-2-1 against the spread. So.
Yeah, like I said, I just think, you've seen a team like Baltimore. And then, Vrabel, who's probably not a big preseason guy either. And I really don't love the depth on this Titans team either. And I think they got issues at quarterback. I think Malik Willis, should be interesting to see if he gets into the game. But it'll be interesting to see if he's NFL ready, even preseason.
I'm going to say I wouldn't be surprised if you see him in almost the entire second half.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see it. Chris, you have anything left for sale today?
Unfortunately, no. My 5-pack and my $15 play both went off the board at 2:00. But definitely, there's still some action tonight. And hop on long term, because you'll still get those plays for tonight. And use that promo code OG15 for 15% off.
I still have my $15 big play still in action out there, so you can grab it. I've hit 4 of my last 5, including a winner last night on the Atlanta Braves. Easy winner. Loved it. I think as I was going to give out Braves the run line the night before, the only one that I've lost in that 4 or 5 stretch, and I changed my pick, and it hurt me. But last night the Braves at least picked up the pieces for me and got the win. Make it 4 out of 5 on those $15 plays. Of course, use that code AUG15 for any of the packages, and you can get 15% off whatever you buy this month. Well, we still got 4 Major League Baseball games left, Chris, for the day. And we got the Cardinals taking on the Rockies, and that one starts in about 40 minutes or so. And then we've got the Diamondbacks and the Pirates in about an hour and a half. Anything on these two?
Yeah, I like a couple of totals here. I love that over 11.5 between the Cardinals and Rockies. Normally I don't love playing overs just because the game's at Coors Field, but this is a game where that total is justified. Dakota Hudson, of the 6 starts this season where he's allowed at least 4 runs in the start, 4 of those came on the road, and he's been far less effective on the road overall this season. And German Marquez struggling at home himself, an ERA up over 6. I think this is a game that gets over the total by maybe the seventh inning. I wouldn't be surprised if we got there even before that, but I like the over 11.5 there. And I like the under 8 between the Pirates and Diamondbacks. Merrill Kelly, an ERA under 2 basically since the beginning of July. And JT Brubaker 0-7 on the road this season, but a lot of that's been bad luck. Still has a sub 4 ERA, and I just don't see these offenses pushing us up over 8. So give me the under in that one.
Yeah, I think we have a high scoring one as well in that Rockies-Cardinals game. If anything, I would bet the Cardinals there as well. And when it comes to the Diamondbacks and the Pirates, I'm just not expecting a lot of runs in this one. Like I said in my parlay video, actually, these two games were both involved in my parlay video. I just think that I'm just not expecting a lot of offense there. I think it's not just Merrill Kelly and Brubaker. It's the bats too, which haven't been there all season. We saw 10 runs last night between these two teams. You're not going to see big runs from these teams night after night. That's for sure. So I like the Diamondbacks, and I like the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals, and the over and the under. But we go to our last two games, and we've got the Orioles taking on the Red Sox. Dean Kramer moved into the starting spot here for the Orioles after being rained out last night against the Blue Jays. So last night, I love the Orioles against the Blue Jays. I was going to make that my $15 play, but I also didn't believe that they were going to get that game in. So that I didn't make it my $15 play, which was fortunate. And then the second game is actually the Field of Dreams game. It's the Reds and the Cubs. And, last year, the Field of Dreams was highly publicized, and it was a very, very big event. This year, not so much. I don't think it has anything to do with the teams or anything like that. I think that maybe, it's kind of like the first time that they went to the moon and compared to the second time they went to the moon, right? It was like, if you ever seen Apollo, the one with Tom Hanks, Apollo 13, you don't know what I mean. Basically, the first moon landing got all kinds of press. The second moon landing, everyone was kind of like, who cares? So, that's how this one goes. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, first I'll say, if you when you decide to hang it up at PickDawgz, you got a career as a weatherman, because I was calling the Orioles getting rained out yesterday. I had to give you credit for it, but I do like the Orioles here. I think Josh Winkowski just falling out of favor with me in that Red Sox rotation. He just has not been good over the last month and a half, and the Red Sox just falling apart at the seams, and the Orioles continue to get no respect. So, yeah, give me the Orioles there. And I like the over 9 in this Cubs Reds matchup. Also lean towards the Cubs, but I don't love betting the Cubs in any capacity, so probably my stronger play here, the over. I think last year there was a similar total. I know it was the White Sox and Yankees, a big step up between that matchup and this one at the Field of Dreams game, but we saw 17 runs in that game. I'm pretty sure it's a smaller field, is it not? If it's at the same venue,
it just seemed like the home runs were just flying out, and even the game was decided on a late home run last year as well.
Yeah. So I don't know how. I thought this was going to be closer to one of those totals that we saw in those London games a couple of years ago, where it was at 14.5, but only at 9. I think this one can get into double digits. So give me the over 9.
Last year's game was on Fox, and tonight's is as well. But my guess is the TV ratings are not going to be quite as good for this one as they were a year ago. I like the Reds in this one, against the Cubs. I think Lodolo has pitched really well, and the Cubs are absolutely terrible. And then, the Orioles and the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox are kind of starting to look a little limp, and last night's game was fairly close for a good portion of it. And when that happens, well, then you go to the bullpen a little heavier. And every time the Red Sox bullpen has been taxed this season, well, the team performance just drops off very, very sharply. So look for that to happen. And with the Orioles, of course, off the day off. But this is a one-game series, so both these teams on their merry way after this one. So keep that in mind. Chris, not a lot of action left here to parlay, but it never stopped us before.
No, it didn't. So I'll do the early parlay. I'll go with the over 11.5 Cardinals Rockies. And you know what? I'll parlay up the money lines as well. So we'll go Cardinals Rockies over 11.5, Patriots money line, Ravens money line.
All right, I'm going to go Ravens money line with the Patriots money line with the Cincinnati Reds. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Sorry, better late than never. Still got a nice 20-minute show. Tomorrow we have a really nice card of games, and then Saturday I think we have another gigantic card. So we got two really big cards coming up. Saturday's show will return to the old format. We'll have to see how that. We know how that's going to work out, but I think it's going to be more exciting for the people that are on the show and hopefully for everyone that's watching. Not as many picks. That's the downside of it because you don't get a pick from every capper on all the different games, but I think you get more focus, and I think that's what people are looking for. And if I can get everybody's information ahead of time, maybe add some of the graphics and stuff that people are looking for on these games as well. So, thanks, everyone, for joining us. We appreciate it. Of course, tomorrow we'll be back at our normal time around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make it a winning day. If you're a premium VIP member, stay tuned. We'll do a premium VIP combo. Going to be a quick little show.